It deeply offends my sensibilities, my sense of moral righteousness, that we have hungry people in Vermont, especially hungry kids living in an agricultural state. This afternoon, I dropped a video talking about how I think a big challenge we have in the food scene is that we have too many nonprofits. I am not critiquing any particular nonprofit or anyone specifically who works at a nonprofit. And I think everyone out there, you know that. What I'm speaking to is deeper than that. And I have a story about the Vermont Food Bank that I'd like to share. I happen to quite like the Vermont Food Bank. I think it is a well-run organization. They have an amazing facility in Barrie, and I've seen their veggie van go pick up. And they basically go to different communities, and there's almost like a CSA style. People can come pick up boxes of food as they need. I had the opportunity, the honor of speaking at the Hunger Free Conference organized by the Vermont Food Bank a couple years ago. And I said something that I felt was risky to this audience of 200 plus people, which included the entire staff of the Vermont Food Bank. And what I said was that your greatest achievement will be to work yourselves out of a job. And the sentiment was that the Vermont Food Bank should not exist because hunger in Vermont should not exist. And that if they successfully resolve that hunger in Vermont, then there would be no need for the Vermont Food Bank. Of course, we probably, unfortunately, will never get to that goal. That's an aspiration that we can chase. And to the credit of everyone in this room, they all nodded. And it was this real warmth when I said that. And it made me feel like they deeply understand that hunger doesn't exist as a problem so that the Vermont Food Bank can exist so that they have jobs. That's not what we all believe, but rather that they share my understanding, and hopefully yours too, which is that the Vermont Food Bank exists because hunger exists, unfortunately, in Vermont. And that they have jobs at the Vermont Food Bank serving those people with the long-term goal, or maybe even medium or short-term goal, of resolving hunger so that those people can feed themselves, can nourish their families, and not be dependent on the support and generosity and service of the Vermont Food Bank and many, many other nonprofits around state. Now, there are other nonprofits that don't do food bank distribution, food distribution. There's education, there's training, there's network, there's capacity building. There's a lot of different things, but it makes it very complicated, okay? And the spirit of what I'm trying to get at, I think that everyone who works in the nonprofit space knows this and knows that there needs to be a little bit more of a difficult conversation between parties to say, who's doing what? How do we make sure that we put the mission first? And some of us may need to offload our responsibilities or partner up, be good team community players and so forth. I know that a lot of nonprofits know this, and I'm just commenting on that publicly to you all who maybe don't have those conversations or think about that as much in the food space. My concern is not federal politics, even state politics. You notice I never talk about those things. My concern is eating Vermont. My concern is everyday citizens in Vermont being able to healthfully, joyfully engage in the consumption of locally grown, nutritious, delicious Vermont foods. That's what I care about. And the problem with nonprofits is that when they provide the service, filling the gap, feeding hungry Vermonters, great thing. When they do that, they are required to fund it somehow. Oftentimes that funding comes from a place that could be the feds, it could be the state, it could be private donors. And if that funding disappears, yes, the nonprofits suffer, but the people they are serving suffer the most. And the hungry people, who I have mentioned throughout this video, they are the ones that suffer the most. And imagine that the poor, that the malnourished, that the uncared for, that the forgotten people living on the margins of our society who deserve love and compassion and care and food, that they are the ones to suffer the most. And that to me is pretty unacceptable. That to me is unacceptable. I dream of a future where everyone is wealthy. Myself, you, and all these people, and all those people, that everyone is wealthy. And I don't see a reason why that can't be possible. In fact, I believe that that future that I would like to see manifested is one where people can partake in the food system and purchase food on their own, at their own wherewithal, without the need of organizations to make that possible. How we get there? Long, challenging journey. And we do need nonprofits to fill the gaps as we get there. But I think it's important for us to keep our eye on the mission and chip our way forward.